Dear friends in Christ Jesus, hearty welcome to the 20th Sunday in Ordinary Season. Last Sunday we reflected about being focused and our eyes fixed on Jesus as he walked on the waves of the sea. This Sunday liturgy invites us to develop ardent faith in Jesus and be humble in our approach. Let us reflect today's Gospel from the perspective of the Canaanite woman and learn how to journey in our spiritual path. First of all, it is only in this context Jesus remains indifferent very strangely because the Gospel tells us Jesus did not answer her at all. We know well that whoever called out to Jesus, like what the Canaanite woman cried, "Have mercy on me, Lord, Son of David," Jesus always used to attend to the need of the person. We find this in the same Gospel of Matthew, chapter 20, verses 29 to 34. The two blind men shouted, even more loudly in spite of the crowd's restriction, "Have mercy on us, Lord, Son of David." We find Jesus healing them at once. We also know that Jesus, knowing the plight of the people, did wonders or mighty works on his own. Thus, we find Jesus feeding the 5,000 in Matthew chapter 14 verse 13 to 21 and feeding the 4,000 people in Matthew chapter 15 verses 32 to 39. Dear friends, interestingly, we find today's gospel passage between these two feeding of the people. Hence, what is it that Jesus wants to communicate to us through this Canaanite woman? What does he want us to learn from her? Can she be a model in our faith journey? Jesus' strange indifference and his so-called humiliating word like dog is not meant to treat her as condemned, as the Jews thought of the Gentiles normally and never associated with outcasts, but to teach us to know the intensity and authenticity of her faith in Jesus, which he did not get much to see in the people of Israel normally. Though Jesus, as long awaited Messiah, is sent to the remnant of Israel, many do not appreciate him or accept him when it is convenient for them. Thus, we find many disciples leaving Jesus in John chapter 6, verse 66. So, dear friends, she, as the Canaanite woman, in other words, outcast, impure, or the condemned one, first of all, has the courage to come to Jesus and uses the words fitting for Jesus as Son of David and Lord. Now, we do not know whether she knew the meaning of those words, but by her very usage of the titles show that she has heard about Jesus and has some knowledge about Jesus. Thus, we also know that faith always comes from hearing. Her action also revealed that she has believed that Jesus as Lord, Son of David. Therefore, we see that she is coming and kneeling in front of Jesus. Kneeling is a symbol of veneration, acceptance, and total surrender. We find this in the very beginning of this Gospel, chapter 2, verse 11. The Magi knelt down and paid him homage. Canaanite woman knelt down and accepted Jesus as her Lord and God. This also reminds us of another Gentile, namely the Roman centurion who had come in front of Jesus, asking favor for his servant in Matthew chapter 8, verse 6. He also acknowledges his unworthiness, saying, "Lord, I am not worthy to have you under my roof." This Canaanite woman also does, saying, "Even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table." Thus, their faith precedes that of the Israelites themselves. Jesus himself says in Matthew chapter 8 verses 10 to 12, "Truly I tell you, in no one in Israel have I found such faith. I tell you, many will come from east and west and will eat with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven, while the heads of the kingdom will be thrown into the outer darkness where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. In fact, dear friends, very many times Jesus himself helps the disciples to develop faith, but they sometimes fail miserably. Jesus had to reproach them, telling, "You of little faith." But here is a Canaanite woman whose faith makes Jesus astonished. From this gospel reading, Jesus reveals to us to develop an ardent faith like that of Canaanite woman, who not only becomes a model for faith but also a model for humility. Her approach to Jesus was very humble, and nothing deterred her from seeking favor from the Lord, not even the colloquial word used for the Gentiles. So, dear friends, as we celebrate this Sunday Holy Eucharist, may we be empowered by the Holy Spirit, trust in Him, and be humble. Humility is a virtue and not a sign of weakness. This coming week, let us consciously choose to be humble and use kind words which even our Holy Father always emphasizes. For example, he says to use very many times these words: I am sorry, I thank you, I miss you, etc. Let us become a model for faith with the help of the Lord. May God bless you all.